Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox. I am so happy that you guys are back, baby, for season 3. Woo! Happy New Year to all of you, fans old and new alike. I love you guys so much, and a lot of you were there for me over the break, and I was there for you over the break, and that's what it's about. We are a big spiritual family. We are a soul tribe, and I'm so happy and grateful that I had your back and you had my back, and that's what it's all about. I mean, because at the end of the day, we're one big family. We all come from God. Not everyone is awake or spiritual, but you know what? They all come from God also. Now, I was happy to let go of 2020. Oh my God, I was so happy to let go of last year. Oh man. I mean, 2020 came at us like, you know what? I'm going to be the worst year of your life. I'm going to be the worst year of your decade. You know, I'm going to be the worst year possibly in a century. And 2021 came along and said, oh yeah, hold my beer. I swear to God. Oh my God, with this year, it's like, okay, here we are on the 18th of January. I was going to try to start the show last week on the 11th, and it's like I couldn't do it. I had so much still to get done, and wading through these ascension symptoms, oh, it's been absolutely crazy. We're going to get into the ascension symptoms. We're going to get into some of the energies that have been hitting, and I might not even touch upon them all because it was so much over the break. And then there were other times when everything felt like there's something coming in. I can't figure out what it is. I can't quite feel it or put a finger on it, or, you know, energetic finger, fifth dimensional finger. I don't But it was like this energy was coming in, and I would go to spaceweather.com. I would go to the Schumann Resonance's websites, and nothing. Everything would be super calm and normal. And I'm like, what the actual hell am I going through right now if I can't explain it scientifically? Because you guys know, I mean, I've already mentioned this last season, that I am somebody who I want the proof. I want spiritual and scientific connection. You know, for me, metaphysics, it's not just la-di-da spirituality. I pray to rainbows and I ride unicorns in my dreams, okay? You know, even though all that can be super fun too, but I mean, that doesn't seem like that has any basis in anything. It just seems flaky, you know? And when I feel my body feels like it's being bombarded by some kind of crazy radiation, and then I look it up on space weather, and it's like, oh, of course, because we're being bombarded right now by a solar wind. I must be energetically sensitive, right? But metaphysics is, it's a science that's been kind of long forgotten. And people have poo-pooed it to be like just spirituality or whatever. But not just spirituality, but kind of, oh, she's metaphysical. I get it. You know, like a leather Birkenstock wearing vegan. That's what people think, right? Which is, how ironic. You're still wearing leather shoes. How come you're not wearing, jelly shoes? Wear the plastic shoes, I'm just kidding. I'm in kind of a crazy state because I haven't done this in a month, guys. Oh my God. I kept thinking I need another week. I need another month. Oh my God. And then today I woke up and I said, today's the day. And actually I'm a liar. I did not wake up today. I pulled an all-nighter last night. I went to bed, about 9 o'clock in the morning. And I woke up around 11. So, I shouldn't make it like I slept all night. I had to pull an all-nighter. And I've been taking care of myself. I've been doing the self-care thing, mourning my son moving out, even though he's more than alive and he's happy and he's thriving in the Bay Area and he's happy. He called me one day. He's like, Mom, I'm going to take $100 out of the bank card you gave me because I'm going to get medical marijuana and I'm going to walk down the street smoking a blunt because that's how I roll. I'm like, all right, have fun. That's fine. It's your money. You can use it however you want. That he's getting his 3 square meals a day plus tons of snacks. He's just like, they've got a bowl of candy, Mom. They've got a bowl of candy bars, full size. Not the fun size that aren't fun at all. It's like you take 2 bites and it's over. That's not fun at all. Liars. So anyway, my son, he's doing really well. We're actually talking like once a week, maybe I would say. And we're having wonderful conversations. Things are going smoothly. My daughter, who had not talked to me in months, suddenly we're making up for lost time. We're talking for an hour and 20 minutes at a time, every week and a half I hear from her, so things are like shifting and changing in my relationships with my kids. I was the authority and mom and in charge, and now, and I'm the fun mom, so I'm more of a hippie mom than anything. But now it's changing. Like we're now becoming friends as adults, right? It's like kind of a weird transition. So I had it, but I cried. I got to be honest. For about 2 or 3 weeks, I cried and cried. Like, oh my gosh. It was so hard getting rid of my son's energy. And I hired a maid for 3 hours to clean his room and the whole house. Not even the 3rd floor, just the 1st and 2nd floor. I could clean my own room and my own bathroom myself. It's not terribly messy, just dusty, So I was like, I'm going to do my floor. She could do the 1st and 2nd floor. Last maid touched my magic and screwed up my mojo for a minute and really irritated me. It's like everything came crashing down in a bad way after she touched my stuff. I'm like, that bruja, that evil mala bruja, Probably not. She's probably just some old, tight-lipped Catholic grandma, type of person. And she was kind of like that. Anyway, but this was a different maid, and I hired this different maid, and she was actually slow. I was surprised, because usually the people at work at the service are very fast, but she wasn't really slow. She was working. She was working her butt off, and I hired her for 3 hours to clean my patio, my living room, just the normal stuff, plus my son's area. You guys, it took over 3 hours. 3 hours just to clean my son's room and his bathroom. He had moldy bananas in she was so confused being in his room. I'm like, yeah, see, it's not just me. Oh my God. It's like, the traditional teenager stink, rot energy. No, my son was very clean with his body, but with his room terribly messy. And it was really screwing up my energy. It was screwing up his own energy, and he would not clean up after himself, and he would not allow me to clean up or hire me to clean up. So he leaves. I get everything cleaned up. 5 hours it took for her to clean only the first and second floor, but mostly 3.5 hours for his room. Ridiculous. Just that alone cleaned out a ton of energy. And then I kept going through the house with incense and energetically, and I was still confused. That energy was so confusing and chaotic. I mean, my son has chaos magic, and he needs to learn how to control it better, but it's chaos magic. You can't totally control it. And when he's in a positive, empowered way, the chaos magic works for him. Like, wild things will happen. Like, when he's walking down the street and a man walks out the door at that moment and says, I'm going to give you free violin lessons. Bada boom, bada bing. This is the violin school of Cuenca. And these like $200 a month lessons are free for my kid for some weird reason. That's his chaos magic. He's like, I need something for myself. I need to learn a new skill. I need to do something that I didn't know I wanted to do. And I'm going to set out and find it. And he's just walking down the street, and now he plays a violin. That kind of thing. And he was always doing things like that. It was amazing. It was wild to watch. Like, oh my God. Me being a Virgo that wants to control everything, not because I'm afraid or have fear of it. I want to keep a handle on things. I want to have everything neat and orderly and organized, because my mind is organized and my space is never organized. I want to look at a deck of cards. Suddenly there's 6 decks of cards, and they're everywhere. Not all over the whole house, but they're spread out on the bed, and now I'm like, I've got to unravel it and, clean the energy. And, I drive myself crazy because I know in my mind I'm very neat, but I'm like looking at a pile of books and notebooks right now. And that's why I pulled an all-nighter, by the way. I have been working my butt off for the whole month that I took off from you guys to get my TESOL certification, and woohoo! I did it. I handed in my portfolio today. It had 10 videos of me teaching English to a fake audience, because they need to see my teaching style to make sure I'm going to be a good teacher. And I had to turn in 12 papers and then a bonus paper of a 5-day lesson plan. So like for 5 days, it was massive. This document was freaking massive. It was just like, oh my God, like I can't even believe I turned it in, but they were going to charge me another $50 tomorrow if I did not finish today. So I was like, the finish line. I was like drinking coffee at like 5 a.m. after being up all night. Just like, this is not working for me. It was, oh my God, I finally fucking did it. I can't believe it. I crammed 48 weeks worth of university classes into 20 weeks. And if we had not been arguing and fighting and having like the bickery energy and the chaos, I probably could have done it a little faster, like in 4 months or 3.5 months, if I had really buckled down to do it. But some of the assignments they gave for like 1 hour, this is going to be an hour-long assignment. It'd be 10 minutes. Well, that was easy. Then they give me another assignment. This is 1 hour. And it took me 5 or 6 hours, or a couple of the assignments took me a couple of weeks to figure out like what, and I had to keep going back and listening to I don't understand. It's like this stuff is so, the videos were amazing. Arizona State University, they do an excellent job on Coursera.org, and I was paying like $50 a month. So if you get it all done in a month, it only costs you $50. Well, in my case, it cost me $250. But because I know I'm doing my show for you guys, I was doing a whole bunch of other things too. So I finally finished. I finally freaking finished. And at the end of the course, there's a 3-minute pomp and circumstance playing in the background while they say, congratulations, you did it. We know it was a lot of work. they're not lying. It was a lot of freaking work. Holy man. And meanwhile, my friend goes to a random like $34 certification. It took him 1 week and he's already teaching English. And I'm like, I tried to do this 2 years ago with my son. I'm like, let's get our teaching certifications and we could just start working, you know? And he's like, you have to go to an accredited school, Mom. I won't allow it. $34. Come on. You know, some of these are $1,000, right? The thorough ones. The one I got was 150-hour TESOL certification. I didn't get it yet. I'll let you guys know as soon as I get it. I can start actually working 4 hours every morning from 5 to 9 in the morning. And I kind of look forward to it. I was up for the sunrise today. It was beautiful. I stood in the sun at sunrise and I stood in the sun again at sunset. And that energy was just so nice. It just felt so warming and inviting and loving. And the sun is bright as a mofo today. Holy man. The sun was so bright, even through my windows, even through a couple windows, it was coming through and I was like almost blinded for a second. You know, I didn't look directly at the sun, but it was really bright. Like what? So, before we get into some of the stuff, I wanted to tell you something weird that happened over the break. And I don't know if you guys listen to other podcasts or not. And I'm not going to even say the name of this other podcast, but something really freaking weird happened. There was somebody who listened to my podcast last year. And she listened to one episode and I said one sentence or something and she was turned off by what I said. You know, well, sorry, honey, I am a Heyoka Shaman, and sometimes I'm going to say stuff that's going to get under your skin, and it's going to fester there until it calls to the surface the thing that made you annoyed at the first, you know, and I don't do it on purpose. It just happens. You know, it's been always a part of my, my personality and my makeup. It just happens. I'll say something and I mean it sweet and innocent, and it comes off being really mean. And you know, I'm a Virgo. Sometimes Virgos are mean. We're very honest people. We're never going to steer you wrong, but we will love you, you know, till the cows come home. And then we'll love on the cows. I'm just kidding. But anyway, so this person listened to me, and then she I guess she didn't want anything to do with me. Oh, I hate this girl, you know, whatever, you know. She stopped listening to me, which is weird, you know. Okay, fine, well and good. If I'm not for you, that's cool. Then, you know, move on, find a different, you know, podcast. There's a lot of us to choose from, so it's fine. And then she, I guess, came across like my podcast started playing randomly while she was listening to a Spotify song. And she's like, what the hell? She didn't even touch her phone. And then she started listening to me all the time. And we became what I thought was friends. You know, and I thought we were becoming, you know, at least friendly. And we were, and she started asking me all these questions, and she got kind of schmoozy, you know. A lot of you will call me or write to me on, at Mermaid Girl 888 on Instagram. Okay. And a lot of you will write to me and you'll ask me questions. You'll want to buy a, you know, like a reading from me or a channeling from me, or you need advice or you need healing. You know, and I do the healing for free. I hook everybody up to the grid for free. If you need it, let me know. But, you know, her thing was, so how do you do a podcast? I might want one. I might, you know, I don't know, You know, and then she started telling me about her family, and basically she has a little girl and she's divorced, and, you know, which is very sad. But she was like, I just had a spiritual awakening 2 months ago. And this is like maybe now 6 months or something. And I was like, oh, you know, congratulations. I'm glad. You know, I'm glad you're getting out there and you're looking at stuff. And so at first she was friendly and sweet. And then all of a sudden she turned on me like a rattlesnake. I mean, everything was suddenly like the opposite of love. And it's fine. If you don't like my show, you don't have to listen to it. Ain't no law says you got to listen to Metaphysical Soul Speak, the podcast, right? It's like, don't let the fifth dimensional door hit you on the ass on the way out. Oh, God. I'm just kidding. But, it's like I want you guys to stick with it. If you gel with me, if you resonate with me, then stick with it. I will always tell you true. I will always give you the real skinny on this stuff. And if I say something that turns out not to be true, I will turn around and go, you know what? I was wrong. And I will apologize. If I say something that sounds funny to the ear, or, just let me know. Sometimes I'll say something randomly that means one thing and you guys think it means something else. It's like, oh my God, I didn't mean that. I've had a couple faux pas, It's part of being a damn Heyoka. So here we go. So something that she reminded me of, though, recently, and this is really strange, and we are no longer talking. She has decided to take not only a stand against me personally, but also professionally, which is insane. It's like we're all in this together. We're brothers and sisters in the eyes of the Lord. It's the way I was raised as a Christian, Catholic, and then later Lutheran. And I'm not a Christian now. I'm actually a Muslim. But I'm more spiritual than anything, and I know for a fact that we all come from the same source. So if you're going to take a stand against anybody in this world, what happens is you put yourself in opposition to them, which puts you into opposition of yourself, because at your core of who you are is nothing but pure love and pure innocence. So you put yourself into opposition with somebody. Oppositional forces, There's a lot of spiritual people out there. They always talk about this. Well, there's a whole faction out there. It's called a cabal, and they're going to get us, and those reptilians, and, and yeah, there are reptilians. In fact, I was looking into her energy field because of something that she did to me. In fact, several things that she did to me. And I saw that she has reptilian DNA, and I'm like, oh, she has an extra layer of shit that she's got to deal with that she doesn't even know about yet. And now that she has claimed I'm unspiritual. Yeah, the unspiritual woman who studied in mystery schools, and I am holder of a doctorate in divinity, which means I'm an ordained minister. I went all the way with that. Come on, guys. Come on. Like, it's so stupid. This is like she wanted to create like a nemesis rivalry thing. And I'm like, where the fuck is this coming from? This is insane. So I want to do a little teeny tiny bit of damage control in case you did hear her podcast. It's like the good something, and she stole a background image. It looked like she made it herself, but I've seen one other podcast that's long-standing, that's been around for a very long time, and she has the exact same freaking image on her. So she's stealing ideas from other people. She's used me basically for my information of how to have a podcast, so that she could have another one, so that she could become my arch enemy or my nemesis or whatever she fancies herself to be. Which I'm just like, woo, I got me my first hater, yo. What? It's official. I'm making a splash in the world. You're doing something right when you start to get bad press, because bad press is better than no press at all. So anyway, she has like no traction anyway. She has like probably 5 listeners. I don't know. Maybe she has 100 listeners. I don't know. But something that she reminded me of that really brought something home to me in a crazy way, because we are all reflections of each other, right? So she was saying that I only leave messages for people on Instagram to gather attention. which I thought was hilarious. I'm like, well, sometimes it's a teaching moment. If someone says something that's not quite right, like I'll say, well, from my research, this is not right. Or I'll say, this is, you don't need to do the man versus woman thing anymore because that's third dimensional thinking. And we're going into the fifth dimension, and we need, as spiritual light beings going into the fifth dimension, we need to love everybody as a being and not focus on gender and freaking out over, men say this and women say this. And, I've heard some spiritual people that say transgender people are not dealing with reality, which that's bullshit too, right? Don't attack trans people. Trans people are wonderful people, and they see more than you do being one gender. If you're only like looking into your life as, I'm a woman and I'm feminine and that's me, or I'm a man and I'm masculine, and if you're transgender, you have a whole different set of eyes in a way. You see things politically, spiritually, and there's layers to it. My daughter, God bless her, she's trans fluid. She was thinking about doing the transition and decided against it after taking the hormones for 2 years. And she taught me a lot. I mean, to be honest, I would not have maybe even looked into this stuff if I did not know my beautiful daughter, who, sometimes she says she's a he, sometimes, she's a they. And she's like, I think I'm okay with she now. And she wasn't before, now she's okay. So I could say that. And I'm not disrespecting her because I have her permission to say she. For a long time, I was saying he. So, and I keep calling her Liam, I keep saying him and Liam because it's like, again, my brain's chance to catch up. No, she's she again. It's all good. But so like sometimes I'll do a teaching moment with people, in a lot of my things. Sometimes I'll do the Heyoka Shaman thing and just say something that makes people laugh. Entertainment or laugh. Or sometimes I'll say something that has a deep amount of love embedded in it, and I'll put energy into my messages sometimes on Instagram so that people can unpack it if they're ready. Sometimes I'll put healing energy or healing codes, and I put real love into that, right? And sometimes I have to be quite honest with people. If I see something that's not quite right, that's not gelling, and not just that it doesn't gel with me. I've had people go, oh, it just triggered you. Ugh, whatever. No, gross. You're judging me and acting like my therapist both. No, thank you for your 2-second philosophy. But sometimes things don't sit right with me, and I will ask divine, what is happening in this situation? In the case with, God bless him, I love him dearly, and I think he might be my near twin flame. I think he came here as a part of our cluster of 8 people, and he feel good. He's had mental health issues. He's been in and out of asylums, I guess. He talks about it himself, and in Canada, so he had to flee to the States to get away from his crazy family that puts him in the institution, when he's spiritual and he's getting downloads, and he's had some really heavy issues, and God bless him. I love him dearly. I mean, I look into his eyes and I feel the love, and I love him so much, but I'm gotta tell you guys, so many things he says is completely wrong, and it's not gelling with me. And he even said that God told him not to wear a mask. And that's what I meant earlier when I said people will use their spirituality to push along an ego-based agenda. And I've called him on it a couple times, and I know that this person, who I'm not going to really mention her name, anyway, with her podcast has the word good in it, but it's not, and again, taking his name as putting it as her podcast. I mean, she's like a stealer. She steals things, ideas, and It's like, and I'm going to tell you what happened in a second. It gets worse, okay? And I'm trying not to go too deep into this, but so she shamed me for leaving a very long message on her thing. She said I was just attention seeking, which wasn't true. She said a quote and said she's reading a specific book by a specific author, and she finds it all filled with love and light. Well, this specific author I talked about in season 1. I'm not going to even tell you. I'm not going to tell you the author's name, but her initials are BM, okay? And BM is exactly right, because she doesn't really channel the Pleiadians. She's channeling a big giant octopus energy that's wrapped around her freaking head. So the stuff that she's saying in her books, and she has many, many, many books. She's very famous. She became very popular by channeling this demon that looks like an octopus that I saw when I was there, and she freaked out on my child, and she yelled at my 4-year-old daughter when my beautiful daughter was 4 years old and was very interested in the Pleiadians and the whole channeling interesting thing that is. It's like so interesting. We drove 4.5 hours for this bitch to yell at my child, and then my child asked a question that was extremely simple. What do Pleiadians call themselves? Because that's our word for them. What is their word for them? And this so-called spiritual channeler started holding her head and running through the front of the auditorium back and forth in front of the first aisle, or not the aisle, but the first row, and screaming, how could you ask me such a thing? And like start freaking out, screaming. Everybody asked for their money back. Hundreds of people went home disappointed, and we all got our money back. And the venue that was known for spiritual, events actually told me, we are so disappointed and so embarrassed. We are heavily ashamed that we would ever have this lady here, because she is a fraud. She is a fraud. And I'm like, yeah, I know she is. I saw the demon wrapped around her head. She's very dark energy, very evil. That's why I'm not going to even mention her name, because she holds that energy even within her name, within her being, within her. So this person who had said some snidey, bitchy remarks to me, this other person who has this podcast, the new podcaster, the new spiritual lady who has a brand new podcast, which is cool, but 6 months in, me, I'm 52 years in, so I have a little bit more insight, just a little bit more. So anyway, she's like, I told her this story on her post where she's quoting this woman, because her quotes, even if they're good and they make sense, they hold the energy of this really evil being that's attached to her, that she asked to come in. I almost did an exorcism on this woman when I met her, and then my Grandma Miriam came in her spirit form, and Archangel Michael said, "I'm ready to do battle if you are, but it's going to be a battle." I'm like, I don't know. And Grandma Miriam said, "This is how she makes a living, is channeling the demon. Do you want her to lose her living, and you're going to be responsible for her? You're going to be karmically responsible for her." And I'm like, the biatch just yelled at my 4-year-old daughter, so hell no. Let her rot with her demon being, but I will pray for her. And I did, and I do, and I love her, and I wish her well, but I know the truth. And so I tell people the truth when I see them chant, or, saying, "Oh, this is such a spiritual book, blah, blah, blah." It's like, I'm sorry. I also don't trust Osho, even though he had a lot of insights. He was also a spiritual narcissist, fled from 2 countries because of tax evasion, and left hundreds of people, hundreds of people in harm's way, and then left them to hang out in the wind, drying out in the wind. There's a lot of people that are spiritual narcissists, and you know what? It's like, I have festered out who is and who isn't in a lot of cases. Now, Phil Goody, I don't think he is, but he might be, And he does have good information, but then he comes off with this anti-vaxxing, don't worry, Trump will be the next president. No, he's not going to be. We all know who's coming on Wednesday, guys. Wednesday! If they don't siege the Capitol again, and I don't even want to address that today, but that's a whole nother wild energy. The Uranus and the Saturn and the Jupiter energies were all combined when that happened. It was all starting to combine when that happened. And Uranus is a planet of upheaval. Now, I'm not an astrologer, okay, but I was listening to all this stuff for for weeks I've been really interested. What is going on? I'm sitting on the sidelines eating my popcorn. Okay, not really. I haven't had popcorn in months, but it's crazy what's going on in this world. I'm not going to get into it because I wanted to get through this thing. So anyway, I was trying to warn this person, and I did leave maybe a longer comment than normal, but because this person had reached out to me for months and we had been speaking for months, and I thought that she was my acquaintance. I mean, not really a friend, but we were friendly, and she would be well, thank you, good night, love you, she'd be very sweet. But now I realize it was all a narcissistic manipulation based on what ensued right after. So she, slammed me on her own page that she's trying to get listeners on, and put me down publicly. And then, for her to call me attention seeking, the fact that every single one of her posts every single day is her with a filter on her face with full makeup going, oh, I can't eat because I'm on a fast and it's so hard to watch other people eat. Poor me, you can't get more attention seeking than that. Most people that I have seen who did the 7-day fast thing and they did a challenge and they said day 3, and they don't wear makeup and they don't do a filter and they don't dance around to music and they don't act like people should feel sorry for them. They go, I'm doing this for my own good. I'm having emotional upheavals, but it's good because I'm getting better. People have a journey, and her thing is feel sorry for me. So I've noticed the reality world of her, world. And, so it was just that was something. Anyway, she hasn't quite developed true discernment. That does take time. And I didn't either when I was her age. She's in her 20s. And I was the same way. I was judgmental. And the thing is, newbies that are spiritual, brand new to spirituality, the newbies will sometimes start to judge everybody else for not being spiritual enough or not for being spiritual in the way in which they are spiritual. Even my cousin judged me for asking a question about witchcraft when she had been a practicing Wiccan as her religion for years. And then she says, oh, I just decided that all that is just far, far too childish. I'm above that now. And I'm like, what the flock? Raymond Buckland was her spirit animal. And now she's telling me that I'm childish because I asked her a specific question. I was writing an article or something back in the day. And I thought that was odd, That was odd. So, but now I realize, looking back, and I look back when I was 18, now I was a bitch. I was a raving bitch about some things. I was a judgmental person. And I remember feeling so well, they think they're so spiritual, but oh my God, did you see her leggings? Or whatever. It was so ridiculous because, it's like saying, a diamond is only good if it's just got one little flat edge, if it's just flat, like a piece of paper. But that's not reality. Diamonds have facets all around in every angle, and there might be occlusions. There might be cloudiness, And if they're beautiful occlusions, that might even increase their value because sometimes our flaws increase our value, right? And so, but I did notice this, and I'm like, oh, wait, she's new to the spiritual path. No wonder she's judging me. Of course she's going to judge me. And she also might be a little bit of a narcissist. So anything I tell her, and I'm doing this from experience. Like, I've been on the ascension path, guys, since 1987. Since a harmonic convergence, I've been on the spiritual path. I had a big spiritual awakening before that, actually. It started in 1986, actually. On my birthday, actually, 1986. So I've been spiritual my whole life. I've been telepathing my whole life. I've been, very spiritual for many, many lifetimes, but consciously aware of the ascension going to happen since 1987, and spiritually awakening, constantly awakenings, many, many, many awakenings since 1986. So I've been on this road for a long frickin' time. But I started realizing when you're a newbie, you judge other people so harshly when they're not like you. How dare you call yourself spiritual when you eat animals? I can't tell you how many dozens of times in the past year I've seen almost that exact comment word per word. Oh, how spiritual can you be? You still smoke cigarettes. Ugh. Toxic in your body. Ugh. I don't know if you guys have heard these, or maybe you've been the one to say it. I've judged people for not being a vegetarian when I was a vegetarian. But then when I started eating meat again, I realized I should stop judging people for their plate. It's none of my fucking business. And that, for me, was a spiritual insight. Loving everybody no matter what. Everybody came here with a specific set of circumstances and experiences they wished to have. Maybe your set of experiences were that you were going to go through a bunch of diseases because that's going to help you grow and all the people around you. Maybe you came here as a vegan bodybuilder to show people there's another way. And maybe someone like me comes along and says, yeah, but when I tried to be a vegetarian, I almost died. And maybe we're here to have all these different diets and all these different ways of being in the world. Some people do yoga and that's their spirituality. Some people meditate and that's their spirituality. Some people do kung fu. Martial arts is their spirituality. Some people surf the Pacific Ocean and that's their spirituality. When the dolphins come up, they know they're in alignment with nature and the universe. So it's not right to judge other people because they're different than you, right? But I was there too, and I know. She's a newbie. So she hasn't developed discernment yet, and she's reading a dark book, and as she gets more and more deep into not only this book and probably the others, because I did that. I read these books in the beginning. And I remember having to deflect negative entities constantly, but I had been on the path for a long time. Well, somebody that I know reported back to me, because I deleted and blocked her, that she now suddenly looks very sick. Like she's dark energy, big time. Heavy duty, and he says it's weird, it looks like she has an octopus wrapped around her head, and I'm like, oh my god. All right, I'll send her love and light, ask God to send her angels, but I'm not fucking with that no more because of how she was towards me. She personally attacked me out loud, but then 4 psychic attacks later, I mean, doing voodoo magic, I don't know what the hell was she doing, but every day for like a week, I woke up for about 5 days, like a work week. For 4 or 5 days, I woke up and I'm being attacked in this way. I'm being attacked in that way. I pulled out an energetic sword, like a broadsword that had been shoved in my heart from her. And that sucker is like 4 or 5 feet long. I'm like, what the actual hell is her problem? I realized she does have a demon because that demon, they jumped into her from reading that freaking book, is attacking me because I exposed it to the world. Now I had to do battle with this fucking thing. And thank you, God. Thank you, God. Oh my God, that I'm aware of the energy, that I know how to get rid of it. I know how to protect myself. And I am Archangel Azrael, and I have come into that knowingness, and I could deflect it back to her and put it in a cage so it doesn't affect anyone around her. And she will get out of that as soon as she can grow spiritually enough to work herself out of that fine kettle of fish she put herself in. By fish, I mean octopus. But anyway, I mean, it's like so crazy. I saw her reptilian energy, and she was resonating with false gurus and false narratives. And then I realized, she also was doing the anti-mask thing. She even put a lady saying there's some lady in government in freaking Norway or Sweden or something saying it's not really a pandemic by definition, blah, 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 blah. I looked at the definition because I thought this woman's out of her fucking mind. And it turns out she is out of her mind, and it is a pandemic. It might be a plandemic, but it's definitely a pandemic. And she just wanted to go back to work, and she wanted her favorite restaurants to open, obviously. Everybody does. We all do. We miss life before coronavirus. But you know what? This is the world we live in. We have to adapt and adjust. And you know what? Being stuck at home all this time is putting us all in a situation in which we are spiritually growing. So yay us. So anyway, not only did this chick hold on to horrible, heinous, venomous anger towards me, and then psychically and energetically attacked me multiple times in a row for saying, be careful reading these books. And when she said, you're just trying to attention seek, I'm like, and she started gaslighting me. And I'm like, no, look, because I care about you, this is going to delay your spiritual journey. I saw the writing on the wall. And then energetically attacking me like that. Well, there you go. There's a little bit more of your delay in your spiritual journey. I was like, okay, But then she did this publicly. She poached my irregular guest, Tim, the cosmic threader. She poached him as a guest and started asking him about spiritual stuff. And I did not want to even give her a penny for her new sponsor or whatever. I didn't even want to give her the penny because of how she'd been treating me for a week, obviously. So he says, hey, Dave, have you ever heard of this podcast? And I'm like, oh, right. Yeah, she woke up spiritually 2 weeks ago and started the podcast 5 minutes ago. Woo, she's so up there. I'm just kidding. I was so mad. At that point, I'm just mad. Come on. In fact, a lot of you did start a podcast within a year of spiritually awakening, but your podcasts are good and amazing and insightful and sweet. And I listen to you guys, 3 or 4, actually, no, I'd have to say 6 of you started a podcast because of me. And I did that, and I'm happy, and I helped you, and I love you guys. And she was the only person who's had a podcast that she acts like she's better than everyone else, apparently. And she's trying to build herself up by tearing people like me and other people down. And she can't really tear me down because I'm me, and I know who I am, and I know what I know, and I do what I can do to bring the best information and the light codes in my voice to you guys. I am a healer, and I just send so much love to you guys every moment I can, and for her to come across and she's literally trying to have a nemesis, I don't know what's in her mind. Does she think we're going to show up in sequined beaded gowns somewhere at some awards dinner, and she's like, oh, don't talk to her. She's my nemesis. I mean, the way that Cameron of Modern Family does people. That thought made me laugh super hard the other day. I was like, oh my God, that's hilarious. Maybe that's what she's trying to do. I mean, that's polarizing everything. It's duality. It's you're so 3D, chick. You're so 3D. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so she poaches my regular guest. knowing full well he's my regular guest, because remember, she was my listener for a while. And then she blindsided him with her abject hatred of me, like the venomous snake that she has decided to be right now. And she started tearing me down. And she started claiming I'm not spiritual, I'm of the false light. It blew him away. It threw him for a loop. He's like, oh my God, I know she's wrong about you. And I don't know where the hell was her anger. Where'd this come from? He said, well, do you know Mermaid Girl 888? You know, like, do you know her? And, you know, maybe you would like her show or whatever. And she just lambasted him and just got really evil and negative towards me in her podcast. And I was like, whoa. So he calls me and he's like, what happened? Maybe I could get you guys back on the track to being friends again. And I'm like, she attacked me energetically for like 5 days in a row. I was anyway, I had to buy some frozen fruit from my neighbor. She gave me organic mora and frutilla, which is basically blackberry and strawberry. And I just bought a big thing of yogurt because I've been eating smoothies. I've been a little bit healthier and also balancing it out with candy. I mean, come on, Snickers bars, they got peanuts. That's healthy, right? Anyway, the bottom line of all this is that I am a Heyoka. And sometimes I trigger people. Obviously, I triggered her multiple times on multiple levels because she's just now starting her spiritual growth journey, which people triggered me left and right in the beginning. If you want to call it, I hate the word trigger so much. The word trigger triggers me. I'm just kidding. But it just seems so judgy and sarcastic, and I don't like that. But if you are, doing or saying something that you're sparking venom in other people, it's because they had the venom in them all along. And haters gotta hate, baby. And if you got your first hater, hey, you must be a real threat, which means you're real. It was for me more of a validation than anything that I am a real Heyoka, baby. I mean, I'll say something and just people get pissed off at me for years until they heal that part of themselves. And then they come back at me and go, well, yeah, I'm better now. I don't feel that anymore. I don't even know why we're fighting. I don't even know why I hated you. I don't know why I lost your number. It's just one of those things. It's like, it's a blessing and a curse, and it helps a lot of people, but at the same time, it's so annoying for me, to be a Heyoka at times. I love it, and I like being funny and laughing and joking. Part of it is fun, but when I spark that hatred and then I have to clean up the chaotic, energetic aftermath when people attack me, but I'm always going to win, because if people were at a higher level than me, they won't attack me because they're at a higher level than me, right? I don't attack people. I do damage control. And I have had to do damage control and help my friends remove demons from their homes. I have had to do that. I have battled demons a lot. It's kind of crazy. It's just part of, at least my part of it. I wish it was a fluffy rainbows and, Speaking of rainbows, I got all of my stuff that I ordered back in July and August. I didn't get all of it, but I got like 90% of it like 3 days ago. Oh my God. Everything that was blocked has been unblocked. Everything that was insanely, dammed up, like that dam burst forth, and we got floods of energy coming our way. And some people I know, suddenly they've been waiting for settlement for 3 months, and then bam, on the same day I got my stuff, they got their settlement. Other people I've talked to, just all of a sudden out of nowhere, like, I just got this random wild stroke of luck. That's that Uranus and Jupiter and it's that energy of that, the Uranus and Jupiter and what is it, Saturn? Yeah. Saturn usually is limitation. I don't know what that is. I think it went direct or went backwards. I don't know. I can't remember which way it went. I mean, I'm not an astrologer. I was really excited about that. I was like, oh my God. I got my stuff. I finished my certification. I am almost completely over mourning not having my son here anymore in my home. And being alone in a foreign country has been really strange, that feeling. But I'm comfortable here, and I love this country, and I love the people. Like this beautiful neighbor, she's like a teenage girl trying to make money, so she sold me organic fruit that's frozen. I could break it off and put it in my yogurt that I just bought, my stevia yogurt. It doesn't even have sugar in it. And I thought, oh, how sweet, man. Like, some people here are very health conscious. It's pretty awesome. I love it. But anyway, so there you have it. I mean, that's some of the crazy stuff that happened to me over over the break. Like, someone tried to make me an enemy. Like, whatever, dude. I have so many ascension symptoms here that I wanted to go over with you guys, and instead I just had so much to catch up on that I talked too much. I think I'm going to do this tomorrow, and I think we're going to talk a little bit more about the astrology that's going on, and we might relay it a little bit to what's happening in the Capitol in Washington, D.C. as well, because that's massive, serious social upheaval. And I do not approve of that, and I'm glad they're finding all those people because, they're believing a lie and hyping it up, and the whole insurrection thing, that was terrible. I don't have to tell you guys, it's chaotic as hell. I'm going to be drinking a beer and toasting to Kamala Harris and Joe Biden on Wednesday for sure. As will Lady Gaga, who's going to be there. Ooh, la, 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 la. Lady Gaga, ga. I was so happy about that. And who else? Oh, Garth Brooks is going to be there. I mean, it's going to be a party, and it's so sad that not a lot of people will be there to dance and just enjoy life again. Oh, because, Donald Jackass Trump is no longer gonna be in office, and he, I don't know. Maybe he could go on vacation up a long river, which is what they say from the White House to the big house. Anyway, all right, I'm gonna take a quick little break, and I'm gonna come back and give you the space weather news reports and the other stuff, and then we're going to get into it, guys. Life and Teaching of the Masters of the Far East, Volume 2. This is Book 2, and we're starting it for a brand new year, brand new you. And I'm gonna take a quick break, and still don't have a sponsor, so we're gonna not have a sponsor. Which it's good for you. Saves you 30 seconds of your life, I guess. I'll be right back. All right, guys. So over the past week, there have been 2 significant pictures from spaceweather.com. I need to find the people who actually took the pictures so that I could give them proper credit before I put it up on my Instagram account. But I wanted you guys to see these pictures. So you can go into the archives at spaceweather.com and check them out yourself. But the first picture was of the Northern Lights. Now, we've been hit by a lot. I mean, a massive arm of plasma just came hurling at us from the sun like a week ago. And that's when we felt all that bright, big, beautiful, sunshiny energy that has Well, brought a lot of stuff to the surface. Some people are feeling suicidal. Some people are feeling emotionally wrecked. It's because it's a toxin that was festering inside you emotionally. And that's what this stuff does. It's all for our own spiritual growths, right? And sometimes a growth is a wart, right? And sometimes a growth is like actual emerging and budding out and becoming the beautiful flower you were always meant to be. But sometimes it gets a little toxic for a minute, you know? And so I've noticed that there's a lot of crap going on, and I'm not going to, like I said, I'll get into the ascension symptoms later, but all of these ascension symptoms have been sparked by the crap happening up in the sky. A couple weeks ago, it was like hardly anything going on. And then all of a sudden, this massive plasma came and hit us. There was brownouts. There was just straight up blackouts when we were also hit by a magnetar energy. I don't know if you guys remember. I think it was my last episode of last season when a little alien being came and said, in a month, you guys are going to get hit by this energy. And I'm like, okay, I relate it to you guys. And boom, did we not get hit? Woo! That magnetar energy really, man, that was freaking nasty. That was nasty. A lot of people did not have power because of it. And I just thought that was really trippy. That was on, I want to say it's JPL or NASA's website, or maybe it was their YouTube channel. I was blown away. I'm like, wait a minute, that's about in correspondence with what this little being told me like a month ago. Like, what? That's frickin' trippy as hell. Anyway, we are in the middle of a solar wind stream. By the time you hear it, we will be basking in that solar wind, baby. So expect more ascension symptoms. Expect more ringing of the ears and inability to sleep, and you eat something and then feel sick right after. Ugh, I'm going to get into more symptoms tomorrow, but boy, those are some of the ones that have been hitting. A lot of people I've been talking to, a lot of you have called and written and told me, I really miss you. I miss the show. I hope you don't mind that this one's going to be a little bit longer. And that's why, because I've missed you guys too, honestly. I was so happy. Like, I only slept a couple hours today, and I was like, woo, it's my show. I mean, a few days ago, I was like, oh, I wasn't finished with the T-Sol certification, and now that I'm done, I feel like, oh, massive weight. I feel like massive weights have been lifted off of me in the past month. Like, having my stuff delivered after 5 freaking months of waiting. And I'm not wearing it right now, but right next to me, in fact, at my back right now, I've got my Lucifer hoodie. If you guys have never seen Lucifer, it's such a great show. I love the TV show. It's got the actor in his Lucifer outfit with his little white wings, his massive white wings. And when I open my arms up while wearing this hoodie, it looks like I have white wings. I'm like, aw, I miss my wings. And so I just love it. The Lucifer hoodie, I think it's pretty hilarious. I answered the door the other day. This guy came by and brought me like one of my shipments, the second shipment of the week, because he had forgot to bring some of my stuff. And I opened the door, I'm wearing a Lucifer hoodie. He just burst out laughing, like, what the hell? Like, I'm already like the oddball in the community. Might as well wear a Lucifer shirt, and people probably haven't even heard of the show. So I just look like a devil worshiper at this point. I don't worship the devil at all, but I love that TV show, and I just got a little celebrity crush on the actor. He's so cute. Anyway, he's not my guy, but he's awfully cute. Anyway, so let's get into this a little bit, what's going on. Apparently, not only has the sun been hurling shit at us, but comets have been hurling themselves. I mean, speaking of the suicidal energy, there have been comets hurling themselves into the sun. They've been dive bombing the sun, according to the Soho, that has been watching all these suns. In fact, since 1995, more than 4,000 comets have fallen into the sun. Oops, it's so bright. I can't help it. It's so beautiful. Like moths to a flame. It's weird. Why is this happening? I don't get it, but it's very weird. I guess they just vaporize and then it's nothing. It's like, pouring a glass of water into a volcano. It's not going to do a whole hell of a lot. It's not like you're going to cool off the sun, okay? But the solar wind speed right now is 308.9 kilometers per second. Like I said, we're in the very beginning of a solar wind stream. Probably we're at the tail end of the one that happened from yesterday until today. This one will be lasting until tomorrow. And so imagine you're going to probably get those ascension symptoms, okay? We're at sunspot number 23. There's 2 sunspots facing us, but they just have a very simple magnetic field, and they pose no threat for more solar flares. Although we have gotten energy just hurling itself off the sun randomly, it has nothing to do with sunspots. And as a result, I'm telling you, go to spaceweather.com. The dragon and the phoenix energy were in combination and combinada. It was so beautiful, like, oh my God. And it's just, if you want, write me on Mermaid Girl 888 and I will send you. I snagged the picture, but I said I'm not going to put it up publicly until I get find the person on Instagram that took the picture. But also, then a few days later, there was a massive eagle that appeared in just 2 clouds combined together in China with it looked like a massive eagle over a whole city. And there was no other clouds, hardly, except for what looked like energy rising up off the eagle above China. and it was like this luminescent, it's absolutely gorgeous. Really, but these bird images have been appearing in the sky all over the planet. And those are the only 2 I found out about. But a lot of people have been saying the phoenix energy is coming. Shireen Kira said it. My friend Obi from Minnesota, he's been telling me about the phoenix energy for a while. I'm like, it's not a real animal. And he's like, but it's a real thing. I'm like, it is a real energy. Yes, it is. It's not a real animal. Like dragons are a real animal. And they found bones, they're a real animal. I'm like, I want a phoenix to be real, but a bird cannot burn itself up and then rise from its own ashes. But that theme has come over me again and again and again and again for the past month, 6 weeks, something like that. So in here, Shireen Kira, they're saying it too. A lot of people are mentioning this phoenix rising from the ashes. And even my son got a tattoo a month and a half ago, right before he left. He went and he got a tattoo that says in Latin, from the ashes I will rise. And it's like, whoa. Everywhere I turn around, there's a phoenix and a dragon, and here we go. In the sky, phoenix and dragon. So I will send that to you if you want to. I'm going to post it. I don't know when. I'm notoriously bad at posting regularly. I got to get better at it, but if anybody wants to take over for me, let me know. All right. Ulu neutron counts are high tonight, 8.2% of the space age average. And so it's gone up by 0.2% since yesterday. Let's see, what else? Noctilucent clouds, thank God, they're a month late. And they're now here at the South Pole, baby, which means I might, maybe, possibly, someday if they expand, maybe I'll get to see them here in Ecuador. I'm not exactly at the South Pole. I think in Chile and Argentina, they might be able to see the noctilucent clouds. Maybe possibly as far as up as Peru, maybe southern Peru, like Paracas or in Ica, but maybe not really. Like Nazca possibly, but I don't think even. So I'm still waiting. I want to see the noctilucent clouds. Living on the equator sometimes has a bit of a disadvantage. Anyway, the super cold winter rainbow, there was a fog bow, is triple fog bow, and there's a picture of it right now on spaceweather.com if you want to check it out. There were reportedly 12 fireballs over the United States. I think that's it for the space weather. Let me get over to some of this other stuff over here. Schumann Resonance news from disclosurenews.it, 31 hertz frequency, so that's going up, up, up. They're saying now that the minimum Schumann resonance, it used to always be 7.38. They're saying there on their website it's 73.9. and that the steady hold is between that and 7.9 or something. I don't know. I thought it said 7.77, but that didn't make any sense. Oh, maybe they said, yeah. So I thought that was strange because we're getting like massive numbers everywhere else. So that was from the Italy site. Let me check out Heart Math Institute. We're 2 days behind on them. They don't have the up-to-date numbers, but this is what we got from Saturday. Let's see. I had the 2200 hour. Let's see where we're at. Saturday at the... oh, dagnabbit. It's always hard to get to it. Okay. The 2300 hour. California was at 68 hertz frequency. And remember, 40 is the fifth dimension. That's what I'm saying. Like, we feel that we're spiritually evolving, but we sound like freaks. But when you back it up with the science, metaphysical, baby. That's why I'm metaphysical soul speak. I always want to back it up with the science, right? I can't just be like, I saw a fluffy bunny cloud, so, ooh, I had a spiritual experience. You know, even though that might be a wonderful and amazing and perfectly valid spiritual experience. But I'd love to say, hey, I had a tingling in my spine, and guess what? That we were hit with plasma at the same time. That's weird. You still can't prove it actually is what happened, but it makes it a little bit more valid, at least for me as a Virgo, as an INTJ or INFJ. I test as both of these. The weirdest personality on the planet. But I see the bigger picture and I see other things, and I don't know. I hope this is helping you guys when I give all the science. You know, if you're not crazy. We got some science backing us up over here. In Hope, Saudi Arabia, woo, they come up off the mat in a big way. 126 hertz frequency is the Schumann Resonance for them. In Lithuania, they were at 105 hertz frequency. And in Alberta, Canada, they saw 61 hertz frequency. In Northland, New Zealand, they were at 75 hertz frequency. And in a strange turn of events, Honolulu, South Africa, which is usually the highest one, is now 0. It has zeroed out. So I thought that was very strange, of course. Anyway, there we go. That was a Schumann Resonance for tonight. And here we go. Life and Teaching of the Masters of the Far East. In the 1890s, Baird T. Spalding, decided to take a group of men to the Himalaya mountains and check out a crazy rumor that the masters, the ascended masters, including Buddha and Jesus' mother, Mary Magdalene, and Mother Mary, all these people and more that the Western world have never even heard of, live in the middle of the Himalaya mountains, hidden among the residents up there, and sometimes they create miracles. And they live in the mountains. I don't mean on top of the mountain in a village in a house. I mean inside the mountains. Inside the mountains. So I read the first book last season. If you're brand new to the show, you might want to catch... It's okay. You could listen to this and then go back and catch book 1. I think it took me 12 weeks to read it. So... I think that this season we'll get through this book and then we will start season 4 like a month or 2 weeks later. I've decided to break this year up into season, guys. I am reinventing myself. I am writing a class on how to combat anxiety for Udemy. So just keep that feather in your cap, because we're going to tell you how to get 75% off that class through this my show. By the way, I just want to bring that up real quick, because a lot of you have expressed that you have terrible anxiety to the point where it's causing depression and suicidal thoughts. I want to help you all get through that. And God channeled a bunch of information through me, and I'm turning that into an hour-long class that might hopefully help you. So there we go. Here we go. So Life and Teaching of the Masters of the Far East by Baird T. Spalding. And by the way, I had all these books on my laptop and I don't even need to connect to the internet. So I'm like, what the hell's wrong with me? I was trying to read it from this tiny little, like, tiny little tablet last season, and now I just got a little smarter, and now here we go. Volume 2 is basically the second book, Chapter 1. I'm reading this on my laptop. It's so exciting. It's so luxurious after last year. All right. This day is to you the beginning of a new year. The old having passed out, as it were, from your life, never to return except possibly in thought, as the memory of its pleasures, its sorrows, and cares. And the more engrossing thoughts of business come flooding back. Aside from that, it is forgotten, gone, to you a page torn from the yearbook of your life. We look upon it as a period of attainment and added triumph, and ongoing, a span carrying us on to a more glorious development and achievement, a time of greater promise and enlightenment, a time when we can be of greater service, when we can be younger, stronger, and more loving from each succeeding experience. Your thoughts is why? Our answer is to draw your own conclusion. Choose your own life. Our chief said, without any thought of intruding, we wish to see and know. Our friend resumed, from this time on, there are definite lessons for those who do not see and know or grasp the full meaning of the goal of life well lived. This does not mean a life of asceticism and austerity and aloofness or sadness. This means a life of accomplishment in joy and gladness, where all sorrows, all pain are banished forever. Then, in a lighter and more whimsical mood, he said, "You have expressed a desire to see and know. The desire is no sooner expressed than it is fulfilled. The thought expressed in a verse in your Bible comes to me as I look over this assembly. Where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there will I be also." How often that verse has been looked upon as a mere play upon words, instead of being applied and made really true. The great error you have made with Jesus' teachings is, you have consigned them to the dim and misty past, looking upon them as mythical and mystical, pointing to something that may be gained after death, instead of knowing that they could be applied in the daily lives of all right here and now, if you only will. We wish it to be understood that we are not putting forth the claim that Jesus, as the Christ, represented a plane or condition of life in his own realization that had not been brought forth to a greater or lesser degree by a great many seers and prophets of other times and peoples. We wish to emphasize his life, because that life is the one you can understand more fully. The specific reference to his own life can have but one purpose and meaning, and that was the faith-inspiring fact that his life and experience was a living demonstration of his teachings. The speculative dogma of vicarious atonement, at one mint, which has biased Christian thought for centuries, cannot be charged to the author of the Sermon on the Mount or the parable of the prodigal son. The leaders of Christian thought have diverted the followers of Jesus and his teachings from their practical application and the study of the God power. They have taught them to look upon his teachings as the experiences of the apostles after his time, instead of teaching them that the law upon which those teachings were based was an exact science which could be understood and experienced in the lives of all. The Orientals, I have a problem with this word, but this was from the 1890s, we'll just power on through. Just be rest assured it's not me, Elena, saying it. This is Baird Spalding relaying what was told to him by one of these masters, okay? So they didn't have political correctness in the 1890s. I don't think this is politically correct. I don't know. I'm just mentioning it. All right, here we go. The Orientals have made a scientific phase of their religion the supreme object of their study and attainment. In this, they have gone to the other extreme. In this way, both have consigned their religion to the realm of the miraculous and supernatural. The one has become absorbed in the holy ethical, while the other has been absorbed in the scientific side only. Thus, both have shut out true spirituality. The monastic life of retirement, asceticism, and seclusion from the world, whether in Buddhistic or Christian monasteries, is neither a necessity nor is it the true method of attaining spiritual enlightenment, nor the realization of the perfect life of wisdom and power as brought forth by Jesus. These monastic systems have been in existence for many thousands of years, yet they have in no wise accomplished as much for the uplift of the common people as did the teachings of Jesus in the few short years of his time here on earth. It is very well known that he embraced all their teachings, going through the initiations and studying the so-called sacred mysteries, the ritualistic forms and ceremonies, until he came to the teachings of Osiris. Oh, really? I did not know that. Did you guys know that? He came to the teachings of Osiris. I knew he studied in Egypt, but okay, well, let's keep on with this. So he came to the teachings of Osiris. Okay. These were interpreted to him by a priest who had held himself aloof from all the ritualistic, monastic, and materialistic forms of worship. This priest was a follower of King Thoth. Woo! Sorry, I just love King Thoth so much. You might have heard, the Emerald Teachings, the Emerald Tablets. Did I actually read that to you guys? I don't think I did. Maybe I will at some point read this for you. This priest was seriously, I raised my arm in the air when I saw King Thoth. I was like, I want to get a t-shirt and light my freaking lighter, King Thoth, yay. Oh, he was Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice-born man, and he was, I believe, by the time he hit his first of those 3 famous incarnations, he was already a spiritual master. I'm a spiritual nerd. I'm like, woo, King Thoth. All right. I surprised even myself. It's like when I screamed when Mickey Mouse threw his arms around me at Disneyland. I suddenly became a 3-year-old kid jumping up and down, and I couldn't stop hugging him and kissing him like a fucking maniac. Like, what the hell's wrong with me? My inner 3-year-old really needed to see Mickey Mouse at that moment. It's like, what is wrong with me? All right. This priest was a follower of King Thoth of the first dynasty of the Egyptian kings. When King Thoth declared Egypt an empire, he did it under the power of a dictator and usurper of the people's rights. God, this is giving me the fucking chills right now, guys. Is this giving you the chills? Oh, man. Wow. All right. So, centuries before, these people had built up and maintained a glorious civilization of unity and brotherhood under the guidance and direction of Osiris and his followers. These people were the pure white race. Ooh, I'm not happy with these words here. These people were the pure white race and were always known as Israelites, of whom the Hebrew race is a division. Is it though? Is this guy? Maybe this guy's not a spiritual master. Let's just take it in stride. And my apologies for anything that might be a little bit annoying. Moving forward cautiously. All right, so yeah, that was weird. Is the Hebrew race a division of the Israelites for real? I think it is. I mean, back in those days, that's what they said, because now it's just a language. Hebrew is a language, but in the Bible, there is a chapter, or like Hebrews is a chapter in the Bible. So, all right, we'll go with it. Jenner, you got to contact me and tell me what you think about that line. These people were the pure white race and were always known as Israelites, of whom the Hebrew race is a division. This is very strange. It's a very strange sentence. Let's move right along, okay? Thoth ruled wisely and attempted to maintain the Osirian teachings. But after his day, because, he was not, by the way, the dictator. He took over after the power of a dictator usurped the people's rights. He wasn't the person to do that. It's not clear the way it's written, so I just want you guys to know. He was not the bad guy here. I feel some of you might be like, feeling a little resistance towards that statement. Like, I don't know. Anyway, all right, let's see what this has to say for itself. All right, so, but after Thoth's day, the dark and material concept crept in, and the Egyptian or dark hordes from the south, who had swept him into power, gained sway. The succeeding dynasties fell away from Osirian teachings, gradually took up the dark concept of the dark race. I don't know what they're meaning. Oh, wait. And finally practiced black magic entirely. Oh, that's what he means by dark. Light and dark, pure white race, he might mean vibrationally or energetically. I don't think he means physical skin color. So, take it at your own meaning, I guess. The succeeding... Okay, so, all right, so they finally practiced black magic entirely. Their kingdoms soon fell, as all such kingdoms must fall. So that's why the Egyptian kingdom fell, was because of the dark concept of the dark race, meaning the people who were practicing black magic. All right, so that's how the kingdom fell. I did not know that. Strange story. So listen to this. Here we go. Let's get back into a different area here. After Jesus had listened attentively to this priest and his teachings, he recognized their deep inner meaning. He also saw through the insight which he had received from Buddhistic teachings that there was a great similarity underlying the two. He then determined to go to India over the old caravan route maintained at that time. There he studied the Buddhistic teachings, which had been preserved with a reasonable degree of purity. He saw that in spite of the ritualistic forms and dogmas that had been imposed by man, religion had but one source, and that was the God within, whom he designated as his Father, and the Father of all. See? It's not like he's Jesus, the Son of God, and the rest of us are just the illegitimate bastard children that God forgot. That's the way Christians pose it, but that's not true. You are every bit as important as Yeshua. Keep that in your hat. Yeah, stick that in your pipe and smoke it. Let that be the feather in your cap. That's the second time I've said that today. That's very weird. Like, what am I channeling? Like, hello, the 1700s called. They want their stupid phrase back. Okay. I'm so slap happy to be here with you guys right now. Okay. So, okay. There you go. Where was, now I've lost my place. That's what I get for being a smart ass. All right. Then he threw all forms to the winds, as it were, and he went directly to God. He went straight to the heart of this loving attainment. He soon found that this did not take long years of weary plodding through dogmas and rituals, creeds, formulas, and initiations, which the priesthood were foisting upon the people in order to hold them in ignorance and therefore in subjection. He realized that for which he was seeking was right within himself. He knew that in order to be the Christ, he must declare that he was the Christ. And then with pure motive of life, thought, word, and deed, he must live the life he sought in order to incorporate it within his physical body. Then, after perceiving this, he had the courage to go out and declare it to all the world. It did not matter from whom or where he got his realization. It was the work that counted. Not what someone else had done, but what he did that counted. The common people whose cause he sponsored heard him gladly. He did not borrow his precepts from India, Persia, or Egypt. Their teachings were but the outer that brought him to see his own Godhead and the Christ, the representation of it. That was in everyone, not in a few, but in all. Osiris was born in Atlantis. I did not know that. That's interesting. Osiris was born in Atlantis more than 35,000 years ago. The chroniclers of his life long after his time called him a god because of his wonderful works. He was a direct descendant of those of higher thought who had kept their concepts clear in the motherland of man. Oh, the motherland. I rather like that. It was so of the great portion of all the mythological characters that have been brought down to us. Their works and characters have been distorted by repetition and translation of the stories concerning them. Their works and their attainments were looked upon as supernatural by those who would not give the time and thought to go into the deeper meaning and find that they were divinely natural to man in his true dominion. The chroniclers deified Osiris, and then they began making images of him. These images only represented what he stood for at first. Then gradually the images became fixed in the mind, the ideal was forgotten, and the empty idol remained. Buddha was another who was deified by the chroniclers long after his time. Note the images of him that have been set up, with the results that the image is worshipped instead of the ideal. Again, the empty idol. It's the same with signs and symbols. The teachings that Buddha received came from the same source as did those of Osiris, but in a different way. The teachings that Buddha contacted came from the motherland direct to Burma, brought there by the Naacals, Naacals. Never heard of them. Osiris's teachings came directly to him, as his forefathers lived in the motherland, and when he was a young man, he had gone to the motherland to study. After finishing his studies, he returned home, became the leader of the Atlanteans, and brought the people back to the worship of the god within, as they were gradually slipping back to the dark concept influenced by the dark races about them. Moses was another leader whose followers and chroniclers deified him after his time. He was an Israelite and contacted the records of the Babylonians, receiving his teachings from them. These records form a part of our Bible. What Moses saw and learned from these records was written by him in the exact form and words. The facts which he put down were badly distorted by translators. I could go on and recall many more. I wish he would. This is interesting. All right. He goes on. Jesus saw and contacted all their teachings. Then, in his characteristic manner, he went to the heart of all these. He went one step further than any of them did by glorifying his body to the point where he could allow it to be crucified, yet he brought it forth in a triumphant resurrection. Studying the teachings of Osiris, Buddha, and Jesus, you will find many similarities. In fact, at times you will find the same words used. Yet did any of them copy? The teaching showed them the way from the outer to the inner. Then they must have dropped all teaching, all copying, and must have gone beyond it all. Had any of them just copied and studied what they saw and were taught, then they had not been able to see that all was from the God right from within themselves. They would have been studying yet, and their lives and experiences never would have been recorded. They all went through the same experience in that their followers wanted to crown them kings of temporal kingdoms. But to this, they would not listen, each expressing the same thought in almost the same words. My kingdom is not of the material, it is spiritual. With Osiris, it went so far that the later chroniclers placed him as an Egyptian king. So here the talk ended, and we all walked to the temple. As we arrived in the lower room, our friend began. In ascending from room to room of this temple, please remember that no man can confer any rights upon another. By developing your understanding, you will find that you are the equal of any man. And he who attempts to confer his rights or what he has upon you is not consistent, as he is attempting to give what he cannot. One may point the way to his brother, and he may extend his vision to incorporate the good, but he cannot confer that good which he himself has upon him. By this time, we had arrived in the second room, where 4 of our friends from the village had preceded us. After a few moments of general talk, we all were seated, and our teacher resumed. There is not a character in all your history that stands out as Jesus does. You count your time before and after his birth. He is idolized. He is idolized by a majority of your people. And that is where they err. Oh my God, I've been saying this on the show for 2 freaking years already. Oh my God, don't worship Jesus. Moses told you not to worship him. Anyway, let's get back into the book. Instead of the idol, he should be the ideal. Instead of being made into a graven image, he should be real and living to you. For he actually lives today in the same body in which he was crucified. He lives and can talk to you just as he could before that event. The great error with so many is that they see his life ending in sorrow and death upon the cross, forgetting entirely that the greater portion of his life is a portion after the resurrection. He's able to teach and heal today far more than he ever did before. You can come into his presence at any time, if you will. If you seek, you will find him. He is not a king who can intrude his presence upon you, but a mighty brother who stands ready always to help you and to help the world. When he lived upon the mortal earthly plane, he was able to reach but a few. Today he is able to reach all who will look to him. Did he not say, "Where I am, there you are also"? Does that mean that he's in a way in a place called heaven that you have to die to attain? He is where you are. He's able to walk and talk with you. Lift your sight a little higher and let it extend to a wider horizon. And if your heart and thought are sincerely with him, you will see him. You may walk and talk with him. If you look closely, you will find the scars of the cross, the spear, and the thorns. All healed, all gone. And the radiant love and happiness about him will tell you that they are all forgotten and forgiven. Our friend stopped talking, and all was deep silence for the space of about 5 minutes. Then the room lighted up with a brilliance we had not seen before. We heard a voice. At first it seemed a long way off and indistinct. After our attention was attracted to it and our thoughts directed to it, the voice became very distinct and rang out in clear bell-like tones. One of our party asked, "Who is speaking?" Our chief said, "Please be silent. Our dear Master, Jesus, is speaking." Then one of our friends said, "You are right. Jesus speaks." Then the voice went on. "When I said I am the way, the truth, and the life, I did not intend to convey the thought to mankind that I myself was the only true light. As many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are sons of God. When I said I am the perfect Son, the only begotten Son of God in whom the Father is well pleased, I fully intended to convey the thought to all mankind that one of God's children saw, understood, and claimed his divinity, saw that he lived, moved, and had his being in God, the great Father, Mother, Principle of all things. That seeing this, he then spoke forth the word that he was the Christ, the only begotten Son of God, and with true heart and steadfast purpose, lived the life, becoming what he claimed to be. With his eyes fixed upon that idea, he filled his whole body, and with that ideal and the end sought was fulfilled. Well, if that isn't the law of attraction. I hope you guys are hearing this in the way it was meant to be, this one. And Jesus wasn't like saying, I'm the one, you know, like he is an example for us and what we can accomplish. All right. So, all right, well, let's keep going. Jesus continues. The reason so many have not seen me is that they have put me upon a shrine and placed me in the unapproachable. They have surrounded me with miracles and mystery, and again they have placed me far from the common people, whom I love dearly. I love them with a love that is unspeakable. I have not withdrawn from them. They have withdrawn from me. They have set up veils, walls, and partitions, mediators, and images of myself, and those so near and dear to me. They have surrounded us with myth and mystery until we seem so far removed from these dear ones that they do not know how to approach. They pray and supplicate, my dear mother, and those that surround me, and thus they hold us all in mortal thoughts. When truly, if they would know us as we are, they would and could shake our hands. If they would drop all superstition and creed and know us as we are, they could talk with us as you do. We are no different at any time than as you see us. How we would love to have the whole world know this. Then what an awakening, what a reunion, what a feast. You have surrounded us so long in mystery, it is no wonder that doubt and disbelief have become dominant. The more you build images and idols and surround us with death and make us unapproachable, save through some other than ourselves, the deeper the doubt and the shadow will be cast, and the chasm of superstition grow wider and more difficult to cross. If you would boldly shake our hands and say, I know you, then all could see and know us as we are. There is no mystery surrounding us or those we love, for we love the whole world. So many see only that part of my life which ended on the cross, forgetting that the greater part is as I am now, forgetting entirely that man still lives, even after what seems a violent death. Life cannot be destroyed. It goes on, and life well lived never degenerates nor passes. Even the flesh may be immortalized so that it never changes. Dear Pilate, when he washed his hands and said, away with him and crucify him yourselves, I find no fault in him. How little he knew of the history he was making or of the prophecy he was fulfilling. He, with the multitude, has suffered far more than I have suffered. That is all past and forgotten, forgiven, as you will see by our all standing here in this place, in one place, together. Two figures came forth and were embraced by Jesus. As he stood with his hand on the shoulder of one, he said, "This dear brother has come all the way with me, while this one," pointing to the second one, saw many more trials before his eyes were opened. But after they were fully opened, he came quickly. He is just as true, and we love him with the same love we do all others." Then another advanced slowly and stood for a moment. Jesus turned and with outstretched arms said, "Dear Pilate," Pontius Pilate, that's who he means. I'm calling it Pilate because Pilates, sorry. Maybe it's Pilate. "Dear Pilate," there was no mistaking the comradeship of the embrace. Then Pilate, sorry, I keep saying this wrong. Sorry about that, guys. Then Pilate spoke and said, "I labored and suffered many weary years after the verdict which I pronounced that day so lightly, when I cast from myself the burden. How few of us, while in the material, realize the needless burdens we heap upon others in the attempt to shift the responsibility from ourselves. It is only when our eyes are opened that we realize the more we attempt to shirk and shift our burdens upon others, the greater the burden bears down upon us. It took many weary years before my eyes were opened to this fact, but since the day they were opened, how I have rejoiced." Then the invisible choir burst into full song, and the melody begs all description. After a few bars, Jesus stepped forward and said, "Do you wonder that I have long ago forgiven those that nailed me to the cross? Then why have not all forgiven as I have? With me the forgiveness was complete when I said, 'It is finished.'" Hey, that's true. "Why do you not see me as I am, not nailed to the cross, but risen above all mortality?" This was not a far-off, hazy, nearly invisible scene. Neither was it set on a stage far away from us. All were actually present in the room, for we talked with them, shook hands with them, and photographed them. The only difference that we could see between them and ourselves was the peculiar light about them, and this appeared to be the source of the light in the room. There were no shadows anywhere. To us, there seemed to be a peculiar, translucent quality about the flesh. For when we touched them or clasped their hands, the flesh seemed like alabaster. Still, it had a warm, friendly glow, and that same warmth pervaded everything about them. Even after they had walked out, the room we were in retained the same warmth and light. Every time we entered the room afterward, some of the party would remark about it. Our party waited while the others filed from the room. As Pilate started to leave, he motioned our chief to join him, and together all descended the stairs, down to the lower room, through the passageway to the crevasse, and down the ladders, one by one, until all had descended. Then all dispersed in the usual manner, as if the meeting were a common occurrence. That's it. That was chapter 1. Woo! I love these books so much. What? Stuff I always knew. You guys, this is true. I have walked and talked to Jesus since I was I think 7 or 8 years old. He came to me and just started, I'm like, Jesus, I wanted to ask you some questions. And then boom, he was right there with me. The innocence of babes, they say. I was very young and very innocent. And he came and he was with me, and it was incredible. And that's how I have known my whole life that, he's right about this religion shrouding everything in mystery, you don't need that. Just talk to God. Just like he's your brother in your room, Hey, God, I got a question for you. I'm going to ask you about something. Talk to Jesus. He'll come and be with you. It might take you a minute to discern that he's there. But you got to learn how to discern between the good and the bad energies. You have to learn how to discern the truth from the fiction. And you have to learn how to discern the bad spirits that will fool you with having a couple kernels of good truth, then wrapping up some negativity in more bad kernels, A couple bad apples spoil the bunch, as they say in the 1800s. Me and the old-fashioned sayings again. But it's true. We have to learn discernment, and we have to learn that we are every bit as special and wonderful and marvelous to God, the Creator, who created all of us. He didn't just, create Jesus and the rest of us are just, the crappy ones. We're not like the first pancakes that you throw out. And Jesus was the perfect golden pancake. We're all the fabulous flapjacks of the Lord. We're all special. You are so much more powerful and important on a deep love level than you know. You need to let go of your ego. That means edging God out. You need to let go of the ego and learn how special you truly are. And love yourself on that level and accept the greater good for yourself. I sure love you guys, and I'm so glad you were able to be here with me now for the first episode of the 3rd season of Metaphysical Soul Speak, the podcast. But now I'm signing off. With love and light and the high vibrations of the holy 5th dimension. Until next time, guys, peace. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.